Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We hope you're all doing well. Today, we're excited to share with you a few tips that will help you set team and individual goals in a way that supports your organization's strategic objectives. In an effort to give you the most information in the shortest amount of time, we're unable to answer questions during the webinar today. However, if you have questions, please submit those questions in the questions box, and we will answer them in a blog post that we will be sending out with a recording of today's webinar within the next few days. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Wisconsin School of Business Center for Professional and Executive Development. CPED offers online and in-person programs and certificates that will give you the modern, relevant skills needed to advance your career. All of our programs offer interactive learning sessions facilitated by instructors with practical, real-world experience. CPED also partners with organizations to provide customized professional development programs, coaching, and consulting. For more information on the Center for Professional and Executive Development, please visit our website at uwcped.org. I'm now going to turn things over to our presenter for today's webinar, Helen Browson. Helen is the Senior Director of Client Experience for the Center for Professional and Executive Development. She works with clients to deliver custom development solutions and oversees the delivery of CPED's in-person and online professional development programs. Helen, welcome. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. I am excited to be here as well. Um, as John said, our focus today is on getting the most from your team through individual and team goals. This is generally an overwhelming topic for some managers, especially in our new virtual environments. Thankfully, the fundamentals look the same whether you're in person or working remotely with your team. The first question we get is, what's the difference between managing individuals and managing teams? The answer may seem rather basic and obvious, but it is still important to clarify and understand the differences. Wikipedia describes an individual as a distinct entity, particularly being a person separate from other people and possessing their own needs or goals. A team is defined as having members with complementary skills and coordinated effort, which allows each member to maximize their strengths and minimize their weaknesses. Makes sense, right? But how do you set unique goals to meet the needs of individual development while structuring team goals to meet bigger company objectives? It's a great question, and we can help. With both team and individuals, you as a manager are working to develop their skills and capabilities. The major difference is, of course, the individuals themselves. Each of them brings different experiences and abilities to their position. One individual may have a strong sense of customer service, while another is very detail oriented, and yet another is more technically minded. Likewise, each individual will have different career goals and development needs. Your role is to figure out how to bring their individual skills together to form an optimal team. When you bring the individuals together, ideally their differences will balance your team and complement each other's skills, fitting together like a jigsaw puzzle. Developing goals at the team and individual levels start with your overall company goals and objectives. Each company goal or objective represents a piece of a larger puzzle that will be broken down into smaller pieces and assigned to your team, and ultimately broken down further to be given to the individuals on your team. I want to introduce you to the SMART Goals framework. This methodology has been around since the 60s, and you may have heard about it in your organizations already. It's becoming and has become a go-to for goal setting in the business community in recent years. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So in other words, what am I responsible for? How will I be measured? Do I have the capacity and resources I need? How does this meet a business need, fit my role and my development? What is my deadline? Here at CPED, we use this SMART goals form to help employees and managers break those puzzle pieces down into actions or tasks working toward the overall goal. We start with the 3 to 5 major organizational goals for the fiscal year, and then all functions of the organization breaks them down into team objectives. Each individual will have 3 main goals: personal, operational, and stretch. It's important to invite the employees to establish and write these goals together since they own the actual execution of them. As the manager for my team, I established the larger goals prior to meeting with each employee to write their personal, operational, and stretch actions that they'll take to meet their goals. Personal goals are generally just that, goals that employees would like to focus on for their own professional growth and development. Let's use the example of Tariq Johnson. Tariq is currently a program coordinator who eventually wants to be a project manager. The goal is to develop project management skills and experience. It is tied to the company goals of protect and strengthen the core. For our organization, this promotes employee retention and puts value simultaneously on individual development and business productivity. Now, you may notice this particular goal is not set up in the SMART framework, but in the next slide, you'll see how we remedy that. Within the personal goal, there are 4 tasks broken down to help Tariq move closer to his goal of becoming a project manager, following the SMART methodology. There are individual tasks or actions, specific deadlines, and expectations described of what done looks like. The operational portion of Tariq's goals are where his team's objectives come in. In the book Alignment, Process, and Relationships, Steve King recommends managers talk with external and internal customers or stakeholders to determine the requirements of the team, including larger organizational objectives to begin developing those team goals. You can see in this example how the major organizational goal is developing virtual programs for all sales channels, and the team goal is written with specific requirements and a specific deadline. And again, specific actions and tasks are outlined below in the specific goals Tariq will have ownership and accountability for. Note, this doesn't exclude working exclusively from his team. It simply clarifies what he is responsible for personally, laying out expectations using the SMART methodology. Of course, some of his work will require him to engage with other team members to accomplish the actions and tasks, and ultimately the overall goal. Now, I want to make an important side note on team goals. Team goals directed at business results or processes generally have metrics tied to them, as it is in my example with Tariq. However, in another Steve King book, Six Conversations, he addresses team behavioral goals. These are generally seen as institutionalized behavioral norms that all team members are expected to demonstrate. On my team, we have 3. I won't say that they're written down or explicit, but they are expected and talked about with new employees and in regular conversation. Our behavioral goals are: 1, programs and participants are our first priority. 2, always jump in and back up other coordinators when they have overlapping sessions. And 3, if you have an idea for improvements, talk about it with the whole team. So while other team goals change based on company initiatives, these remain constant with the team. I recommend discussing this with your team and determining what your behavioral goals and expectations are. The last goal is stretch. As Steve explains in his Six Conversations book, stretch goals should have just the right amount of risk that they require the application of a new skill, a new tool, or a new process, and requires a little extra effort. In Tariq's case, we return to his interest in developing his project management skills. The stretch goal is to integrate the new LMS with the delivery platform. Though he is not yet an official project manager, he is receiving training, which was identified as a personal goal, and there will be detailed actions outlined in this goal that, if followed and focused on, will help him achieve the stretch goal. It's a very important aspect to stretch goals that managers make sure resources are available for the employee to be able to manage the extra risk they are assuming to achieve the particular type of goal we're talking about here. I hope you found our approach to setting individual and team goals using the SMART methodology helpful. I think you will find it effective in getting the most from your team, and I anticipate your teams will feel that it provides the structure and support that they need for their work together. Thank you for joining me today, and be well, everyone. John, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Helen. As a quick reminder, we're hosting a webinar next week that will expand on the concepts in today's webinar. During Optimizing Team Performance, Managing the Individuals and Managing the Team, hosted by Steve King, the author of the books referenced today, you'll gain practical insights into how you can align team rewards, team goals, and team development to increase employee engagement and overall team performance. We hope you're able to join us on August 19th. Again, thank you all for attending the webinar today. We hope you're able to apply some of these techniques to increase team productivity and employee engagement. Stay healthy and well.